Hi, welcome to Wisecat. Okay, so today I am just going to talk a little bit about one of the dangers of server misconfigurations. So this is actually not technically a new problem, but I think that in Moodle 5.1 Plus, it's likely to become even more widespread, and it is a big problem. So let's have a little bit of a look. Another potential way of thinking about this is why I never put my Moodles in /var/ww/html. So let's have a look. I'll shrink myself down and let's grab up a terminal here. I have myself a Moodle just here. I'll put it off to the side just for now. But here I have a Moodle that is in var/w/html. Now, some of you might already know, actually most of you probably do, this is the default location for the web root, right? So if you just install, say, Apache or Nginx, then it will serve up files in here by default, and that's the problem. All right, well, simply put, that is the biggest part of this problem. So right now I've got my Moodle code in here, and the Moodle directory, Moodle data directory is off somewhere else, so that's good. So if I bring this up, boom, now we can see, yes, I have my Moodle, it's running. If I go to, say, I should be able to see the web root in PHP info, I believe. So right down the bottom. And down here, you can see here's where the PHP info. So this is basically saying where this particular script lies, and it's in var www.html/admin/phpinfo.php, and that's where it is. This is a Moodle. The server home is var www. Okay, document root. There it is. var www.html, and that's where it is. Now, why is this a problem? And this is a Moodle 5.1 version, by the way. So, has not been run for 9. Okay, I don't remember disabling cron on this server, but maybe I did. All right, anyway, in here, if I go to, what am I looking for now? I'm looking for what web server am I running? I don't even remember that. Environment. Where's my environment? There it is. Sorry. Too early in the morning. Need more coffee. Have coffee here, by the way. All right. So, currently running FPM and everything like that. Oh, sorry, I'm looking for the server type, and that's not in. I keep clicking on the wrong place. Okay, PHP info at the top here says FPM. That doesn't really tell me much because it could be Apache with FPM. What I wanted to know was what server am I actually running at the moment. I think it's Apache. Anyway, I'm going to demonstrate the issue for both of them, but currently this also, the server name is Vagrant5x, because I'm about to upgrade it to 5.1. It's actually running 5.0 at the moment, and I'm currently on our Nginx. Okay, so I'll demonstrate the Nginx problem first, but afterwards I'll show the other one. So one of the big issues with the problem is that if you have if you have the virtual host enabled for /etc/nginx/sites enabled, if you leave the default configuration enabled, which I have done here, right? Here's the default configuration here. That default configuration points to /var/ww/html. It's not encrypted or anything. It's just there by default. If you've overwritten the default, okay, that's a weird way of doing things, but it's not as problematic because the default essentially doesn't exist anymore. It is just overridden. But the problem here is that this default will route any traffic that is not this domain through this configuration. And if we look at that, right, you can see that here we've got, just a simple listener on port 80, so not encrypted or anything. The root is this root. There's no processing for PHP, it's all commented out. And down here as well, you know, there's like, this is how you would make a proper one, and still without the PHP configuration. But the PHP here is just given as an example of how you might want to do it. And this is actually saying, you know, not even pass it to a socket. It's just saying pass it to the port 9000. So, oh, there's the socket as well. Oh, and it still says 7.4. Isn't that cute? All right. So this example is even pretty old. So why is this a problem? Well, because if I'm accessing through vagrant5x.wisecat.net, I will get this. This will actually show as the as the PHP. It'll pass it to PHP and everything, and all the PHP will actually run as PHP, but the default configuration won't. And so what that means is, if I just now say, okay, this is the that's the remote address, this is the IP address of the server. If I now take this server address and access that, now I'm getting the default configuration, and it says 403 forbidden. And you might think, well, that doesn't sound too bad. 403 forbidden, right? Yeah, forbidden access, yes. But if you know what you're looking for, so let's say I'm looking for config.php. Now remember that Nginx with the default configuration does not know how to run PHP. And so what it's going to do is it's going to return that as a text file. And if I save that, now I can open that text file and boom. Look at this, all of my configuration, including my database name, user, password, if there's a port that it can be accessed via, you know, which host it's on. So if this is on an external host, then I've got a host, I've got port number, I've got everything I need to get into that database. And if I can get into the database, I can do anything. So that's a big problem. So to protect config.php, the simple way of doing it is to remove this default configuration. And there's no reason not to. You absolutely should. Right? So that's the problem in 5.0. And actually, if I'll sudo systemctl stop nginx, and I will sudo systemctl start Apache 2, and you'll see that Apache 2 is not likely to be any better. Let's see, if I go just here to /10, oh, it's even worse. Look at that. Apache is actually displaying the PHP files right here. Right? So if you see this when you access your Moodle site or access the IP address of your Moodle server, do not delay. Everything's exposed. So if you, to say it in the way that Ducky would say it, don't put your code in, quack quack, wingtip of the day, don't put your code in var www.html, or be sure to delete that default virtual server host. All right, so this was Apache. Yeah, it's just displaying it on the page. If I do then config, because that's where the juicy details are, right? Config.php. If I do that, there's my config.php displaying inline in the page. Look at that. Now, oh, I got ClamAV in this one. Okay, I forgot I'd put that in. Okay, a lot of things. So I've got the ASPEL path and different system paths. But if we just look here, the juicy deets are my database name, database user, database password, and it's all there out in the open, not even over HTTPS, for the entire world to see. This is bad. So this is why on my title page today I have danger, imminent server misconfigurations. Why do I think they're imminent though? So this has been around for a while. This problem of leaving the default server configuration around is nothing new. So why is this going to be more of a problem in Why do I think this is going to be even more of a problem in Moodle 5.1 onwards? Well, let's upgrade the Moodle and then we'll see, right? So cd/var/ww/html. Go in here, git checkout. Now again, if you were doing this on a production server, you absolutely would take backups, put in maintenance mode and all that sort of stuff. I'm a little pressed for time right now, so I'm not going to bother, but I don't mind losing all of my data. You should. Okay, here we go. In here, Moodle 501 is set up, so now sudo -u www-data php, the admin, so CLI /upgrade.php, and let's just run that and upgrade our server. And that's going to upgrade it to 5.1. So while that's happening though, I'm just going to have a quick look here. Okay, bang, not found now. Now my Apache config is saying, hey, I'm getting 404s, where's my Moodle gone? So if you remember, dude, where's my plugins? And dude, where's my Moodle? Indeed, remember we have to change the web root for this server. And I did say I was going to show Nginx first, but I'm in Apache right now, so I'm going to do Apache first. All right, so that command line upgrade is finished. So the next part of it is, of course, we do need to sudo nano /etc/apache2 sites enabled and our vagrant configuration here, and we do need to add to the document root /public because it's moved now and now it's in public, right? And so the advantage here being the previous web root of var www.html is no longer publicly visible. Now that's the benefit. So that means that in that root directory we can put a bunch of stuff that we don't want the world to see, and the world won't see it. Problem is, this is, if you're using var www.html, that's the default directory. So if you put your Moodle in var www.html and the default is enabled, everything will be shown. So that's the problem. Anyway, save that. Just demonstrate it here, and now if we go sudo I'm going to restart Apache. Right, so that's restarted my Apache, which should bring my Moodle back online. And indeed, there it is. It's back, it's up, it's healthy, it's happy, it's not a care in the world because this part of the configuration is totally fine. Got 5.1 is running. Yay, happy days. Except I did disable that cron, didn't I? Okay. Anyway, so here, or maybe I think because I moved the Moodle. Anyway, doesn't matter. I don't need cron for this demonstration. But if you see that message, definitely fix it. Okay. So going on, because I just want to basically demonstrate this is an issue. This now, if I try to go say vagrant.5.x.yscout.net, and if I try to go Config.php boom, I'm going to get a nothing, a blank screen or something like that. I'm not going to get anything. It's not going to actually serve anything to me. And if it's a little bit odd that it's blank screening. I would have expected a 404 error, but anyway, that's not going to actually give me anything. That's not going to download a config.php file or anything like that. It's just going to, basically just bug out and just. I am surprised that it's a blank screen. I expected this to be a 404, but anyway. That might be another little misconfiguration of the server, the way the server's set up at the moment. But also, what you can do though is take this and find out what its IP address is. And actually, to find that out, just open another terminal and say, dig What's that? And then boom, there you go. It's got a CNAME of wisecat.net, and in here as well as 192.168.56.10. There you go, there's the IP address. Access that IP address, you're accessing directly the IP address of the server. That's what we did here. And then we said also give me the config.php. Reload on that, and boom, there's the PHP. It just reloaded again. No problems, right, whatsoever. Well, that is a big problem, because we don't want that to be visible. So how do we fix this? Well, the fix is in one of either two different situations. And so I'll show the first one, the second one first, because delete the default virtual web server virtual host. What on earth does that mean? Well, that means that if we go back to, wait, can I just bring that up? Yeah. I'll bring that up there just above the wingtip, and I'll keep the wingtip of the day visible for this part. All right, so if I go cd/etc/apache2/ sites enabled. So these files in here are called virtual host files. And so these virtual host files, you can see that they are just symlinks to other files. So when they're symlinks like this, you can just delete them, and the previously existing virtual host file will exist already. Now in Nginx, there's a very similar folder, sites available, sites enabled. And the sites available is where the configuration is actually stored. But to enable it, you link to those files in the sites enabled. And so that's what's happened here. This by default is the one that's enabled by default, and all I have to do is basically remove that and restart Apache, and we'll be golden. So let's do that. Sudo rm 000 default. Now because this is owned by root, so I'm going to want to use sudo on that, and that will have removed it. But Apache still needs restarting, so sudo systemctl. Well, even a reload should do it. Alright, so I've reloaded Apache 2. Now let's see what happens when I do this refresh here. And I'm getting, a redirect back to Vagrant 5X. I am not getting any sort of display at the moment. I'm just getting a blank screen, which is probably some sort of 500 error or something like that, which is also a bit weird, but the important thing is it's not displaying my config.php. If I inspect here, what do I see? Nothing. It's empty. It's just an empty file. So empty file is definitely better than having your virtual host or your config.php open for the world to see. So that's good. That is one thing that I would consider fixed. The second way to do this, so the next one is to stop Apache, and let's go back to starting Nginx. Start Nginx. So in Nginx, remember, we've still got /etc/nginx/default sites enabled. So here's our same thing, sites available, sites enabled. And there is our default configuration that we have not moved yet. We haven't gotten rid of it. It doesn't know how to do PHP. It doesn't know. It's pretty dumb. All it does is, oh, there's a file in there, I'm going to serve it. So if we come in here as well, and now go back one, there we go. So 192.168, just going by the IP address with HTTP, and boom. 403 forbidden. Well, that's actually better. Okay, I might have added some other protection in there. Yeah, I think I've got some other protections that say, if you see a, well, yeah. Sorry, I've scripted some of this stuff, and so I don't actually remember where I put it, but this is definitely less of a problem because it's returning a 403 forbidden. Oh, no. No. I did this. Okay, I know what's happening here. It's asking for something like an index.php or index.html, and it's not finding it. And so instead of saying 404, though, it's saying whatever you're trying to access, you probably don't have permission to. It's 403, and it probably should actually be a 404. But anyway, this is no doubt about still hackable just by adding config.php to the end. if I could type. All right, that was a weird sound too. All right, here we go. Oh, there we go. And it's asking me, do you want to save it? And sure, I'll save it. And file exists. Yeah, let's replace it. I replaced it. Here's the file that has been downloaded. Now discard changes and reload, and it is the same file that we had before. Boom, we have hacked our Moodle and got our good old config.php coming out as a result. That ain't great. So let's go in here. So we're in our sites enabled folder. There's our default. We remove that. So sudo rm default. Just remove that default symlink, right? It's still, the file still exists here, so I haven't actually deleted anything. I've just moved it so that there's no access to it in the sites enabled folder. And now, of course, system ct sudo I'm going to go back here. Boom, restart. Restart Nginx. Reload would have worked just fine as well. And now if I go here, file not found. I'm just getting a file not found on it, and it has bounced me back to my actual address. It says, oh, did you mean this one? Yeah, you probably did. So there we go. And now I've got /my. Wait a minute, /my is coming up as a... Okay. That's not right, is it? Okay. Remove the default and sudo nano vagrant. That one. It's still pointing there. That's where the root is. Give me a second while I try to figure out what the heck's going on here. Okay. I have found it. What I missed was when I upgraded to 5.1, I upgraded on Apache, but I did not actually change add the public to the web root in my Nginx configuration. Whoops. All right. Normally you don't do it with two server softwares, so but anyway, just adding the /public and now restarting my Nginx server should have everything running. Let's see if I'm right on that. And there it is. My Nginx is back again. All right, so not only is it back, but that default configuration has also been removed. So that's it. Now this problem doesn't actually happen if your web root is nowhere near /var/www/html. So that is absolutely what my recommendation. That's what I do. I put it in /srv because I don't want it in that other place. So I might take, I would be suggesting, say, move your HTML folder somewhere else. So let's have a look at how that might be done as well. So this particular fix has actually fixed the problem because I've actually removed the configuration, but it could easily be replaced there if someone were to reinstall Nginx or reinstall Apache or switch from Apache to Nginx or something like that and forget to delete that default configuration. So that danger still remains because /var/www/html is still the location of the Moodle code. And now it's got this default position, which is by default open to the entire world, is where we're putting all the stuff we don't want open to the entire world. This is why I say imminent misconfigurations are likely to happen, because this is, it's very typical for people to put their web configuration, their Moodles, in /var/www/html. And why? Well, there are two reasons. First, the documentation for Apache and Nginx tends to tell people, yeah, just stick it there. It'll be right. The second reason is that sometimes there are some traps with, if you try to configure your system so that it can serve from another directory, it might not like that and might fight you on that. So let's have a quick look at how that might happen. So what I want to do is I want to move this directory out somewhere else. And so my go-to for that tends to be /srv. And so it's simply, you can just move it there. Sudo mv move the HTML folder to /srv. and just put it in. I'm just going to put it right in there in the moment. So now if I cd/srv, you can see that, boom, there's my HTML. And actually this Moodle 500 directory is inside there, has the Moodle Moodle data directory and stuff like that for this particular demo site. Called 500 because it's based off of 500 config, doesn't matter. But the important thing is this HTML directory is actually now where our Moodle is. So let's make that more obvious. Let's say sudo mv, I'm going to rename it just HTML to, let's say Moodle code. Right, so cd Moodle code, and now you can see that's where my Moodle is. There's the public directory that is needed and things like that. If I ran that composer install command, then I would have my vendor in here as well. But if I now look, so cd public, just to show, there we are. This is where we want our stuff to be, because that's where our normal Moodle code is. That's where it resides now. So now it's in this directory. pwd, boom, there it is, /srv/Moodle code/public. Now if I go into my Nginx configuration, vagrant 5x, whoops, okay, /etc/nginx/sites-enabled/vagrant, boom, boom, boom. Now I change my web directory, my root is now that one, all right, and restart, because at the moment that configuration hasn't been loaded, so this should be broken, and it totally is. It'll say file not found because now that file doesn't exist. But now if I restart Nginx, and that new configuration should load, taking its sweet time, but yeah, it's back. All right, so now I've moved it out. I've done this, the first rubber tucky one. I don't put my Moodle code into var/ww, and therefore the Moodle code is not in a default directory that's going to be served over the internet, open in plain text by default. That is far safer. Because only stuff that's in this directory that I've specified is my public-facing directory, only that will be served. Okay, let's have a look at doing the same thing in Apache, because there's a little extra thing that I think is going to come up. Actually, I'm not sure. I didn't test this before. But, let's see. So sudo nano /etc/Apache 2/sites-enabled/that. Right, now we get that document root, change it to that. Right, I don't think I really need to change anything else here, but yeah, I'll just leave that like that. That's my Apache configuration, yay. And now I'm going to sudo start Apache 2. All right, so let's see, are we running? Let's go. So this should still just load, right? No, forbidden, verboten, nada, you are not allowed. So why is this happening? This happens because the default Apache 2 configuration is to say, it will say, by default, do not allow Apache to serve anything from anywhere else. So we can actually find that in let's see, it's sudo nano /etc/apache2/apache.conf, apache2.conf. Actually, on your machine, if you're using a different distro, I'm using Debian, so it's probably in here. But if you're using, say, CentOS or something else, it might be httpd.conf or something else like that. But basically, this is the main Apache server configuration file. And it's nothing too scary. It looks just like one of those virtual host files, and a lot of the directives are actually the same. There are just a few different sections where you can add stuff as well. So the one that we're interested in is down here. Because we have directory defaults here. So these are the defaults that say things like, you know, yeah, in the root, from the root directory even, follow symlinks. If there's a symlink in there, by all means follow it. Allow overrides, none, and that's like don't allow htaccess files to do stuff or things like that. Options, indexes, and stuff like that. That means, you know, allow indexes to actually happen. You might want to get rid of that one, or just add a minus in front of it as well, because that increases your security too. But the main thing is this configuration here for the serve directory, SRV directory, by default is commented out. And the whole thing is commented out like that. So you might want to just uncomment that. And while we're here, let's try them. I think it's, you add a minus in front of it, and it's just like options of minus indexes. Symlinks are still pretty useful, so we'll keep those enabled. And boom, boom, boom. Save that, exit out of that, restart my Apache 2 service. And it's saying, nah. I've made a boo-boo somewhere. Probably that minus. Okay, I'm just going to undo the minus. Okay, it wasn't minus then. Don't mess with too much. Okay, you could probably just delete the word. I'm just going to leave it there as default. I'm not that excited by Apache. Anyway, that seems to have restarted. Now let's see what happens when I restart here. And there it is. And it's back. It's up. It's running. And more importantly than that, because it's in that weird location, because it's in /srv/Moodle code/public, it's not in var HTML. Even if I have my default in there, it's not going to do anything. I can even demonstrate that. Let's go. cd/etc/Nginx. I mean, this is the proof of the pudding. Oh, not Nginx. I'm doing Apache now. G2/sites enabled. So we can see in here at the moment we only have that sudo a2 nsite. That's right. On Debian systems and things like that, there's this cool tool that just does the linking. Triple O default, and there's my default config is right there. Right, sudo system ctl reload Apache 2. Right, and that's it. Actually will tell you to activate the new configuration you need to run. It's pretty cool too. Alright, so that's re-enabled now. And so now if I go back here, boom, okay, my Moodle is running. What if I go in here and go 192.168.56.10, I think it was. There it is, not found. I've got my Apache is actually shown. Because there's an index sort of a thing, it's just going to say nothing, nothing there. Right. If I go then config.php, well, remember, this is looking inside of /var/www/html. Well, actually, the folder probably doesn't even exist anymore because I moved it, right? /var/www. Yeah. I really should plan these things better, but there's no HTML folder in there. Is sudo make dir. I don't even need sudo for that. It's owned by Vagrant. HTML. Right, cd html, let's say nano index.html, and I'll just say like h1 slash no, not slash, just hello insecure world. All right. /h1. Yay! All right, that's a very rudimentary HTML file that will show us if we actually access this folder. Let's see if that pops up. No, because not for HT in config.php. Let's get rid of that. See if the index pops up. There it is. Hello insecure world exists there, but because there's actually nothing in there, this insecure world is not no longer anywhere near our Moodle. So that's the good thing. Same deal with Nginx. So sudo systemctl stop Apache 2 cd/etc/nginx/sites enable. Let's see in here. There, I don't have my default, so for Apache, for Nginx, we have to actually do the lns ourselves. So sudo ln link symbolic /etc/nginx sites available /default, and that puts it there. And now we just have to restart. Just start systemctl start Nginx, and that started Nginx. Nginx will be running, and it should be pointing to the same place. So if I refresh this as well, again, this hello insecure world is still loading from the IP address of the thing, but the actual domain is going to use the virtual host to actually say, oh, that belongs in the SRV directory, and that's fine. So, okay, with all that said, sorry, I know it's a long journey to actually get here and multiple different types of configuration. I did want to show both Nginx and Apache in this one, but what we've got is the ducky win tip of the day, being that these are two different ways that you can configure your servers to make sure that you stay safe and your config.php is not going to be exposed. Now, one is just don't put your Moodle code in var www. Just keep it out of there, right? And that might mean on Apache, that will mean likely that you have to change your Apache 2 config file and allow SRV to, or some other location, to be a place where you can host your Moodle code. Do it, because that just means that accidentally opening the base directory of the Moodle code in 5.1 onwards as well becomes so much less likely, right? The second way to do it, and not what I recommend, but it actually achieves somewhat the same goal, is to make sure that that web server, the default web server virtual host, the default file, 000default.conf, or default in Nginx, and 000 is the Apache one, make sure it's deleted. The thing is that I can see that a lot of people won't remember to delete the that virtual host file. So hence my title thesis basic idea is imminent server misconfigurations in Moodle 5.1 plus, because I think there's going to be a whole bunch of people especially making fresh installs, forgetting to delete that configuration. And if you put the Moodle code under var www, the danger of that is just huge. So danger, Will Robinson, please don't do it. Keep your stuff in SRV, keep your Moodle code in SRV or someplace else where it's not going to be web visible, and that will keep you secure. Okay, sorry, a little bit rambling, a little bit all over the place, but thought I'd better get this message out, so here it is. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.